I'm Ian Kerr.
And I'm David Johnsenius.
And we're with a research collective called Spurse. And one of the big issues we've been thinking a lot about is time and how time has changed today. So we've set up kind of research station to rethink time. And how we want to do it concretely is by developing an app.
And so what the application actually is a type of mobile sound installation. So you'll start up the app and you'll actually just put the app away and you'll be listening to all sorts of local and more global variables kind of influencing the sound that you hear.
Years ago, working on other projects, we started to realize that a lot of our work was centering around time, and it was because we were so puzzled by how time had changed. If we exist in a world that's so radically different, we really do need different organs, different ways of sensing and interacting. So we developed this app, which
uses sound as a means of trying to get to understanding time. So what the mobile app is doing is it's taking your location. So these smartphones have any number of things that it can gather. They can get data from the camera, data from the microphone, so you can get light levels, sound levels, pitch, roll, your very specific location. So we're taking all these variables that are kind of hyper-local to your present self, and then taking them and transforming them into a sort of sound. So that's kind of the more rapid time, is the variables that are kind of right in the phone. So we're combining the local sounds with more global sounds. So we're taking, based on your position, where you are, we're looking at more global variables. So things like the average amount of rainfall in that area, the water vapor levels. We're also taking a look at your relative position.
And sort of the reason for this is not because we're interested in those variables directly, but they're kind of the signifiers of larger forces, like the change in amount of rain is because of large-scale transformations. What's so interesting is you can't see them or feel them. They're not even really registerable in the world, so that's why even our data comes from secondary or tertiary things like rain or stock market, which sort of gets at how perplexing it is, right? It's things that we have no conceptual tools, we don't even have a language to really grapple with. And that brings us sort of to this place here. This thing is unfinished, and the 3 weeks of CAFKA are really a way of doing a kind of crowdsourced public research into evolving the sense organ. And so we feel like what we have is that first stage. We have a kind of nebulous, chaotic state where you can't really use this sense organ yet. And the hope is over these 3 weeks to figure out exercises, tools, to figure out how to use it and also how to figure out how to make it work itself, to change it. It's really trying to help people sense, feel, and think differently and work with us to do it.
So they can come into the tent and we've got QR codes that people can scan to download the app, and they can begin using it immediately. When they come in, we'll also have daily exercises that people will be able to come in, and we'll explain what these exercises are in relationship to the project, and we'll be handing out maps and asking them to, go out into the world and listen and see what these exercises bring you to, and then come back and tell us what you found. And we can put marks on the map of interesting things and at specific times what was happening. And our own research tools we're able to recreate what people had previously done. So we can go back in time and listen to what that person did at that moment that they thought was interesting. And we can take that and use that to inform the fuller sound over the course of CAFKA.
And those odd things, those weirdnesses in how you behave with it, will be the starting point of our own thinking. We want to speculate, well, what does it mean that you move differently? And then see, well, is that really interesting or not? Like, does that relate us better to deep time? And the ones that do, then we'll try and fold them back into the app itself. And just coming into the space, the sound you're hearing now is somebody walking in China at this moment. This sound is somebody out there walking with this device right now through a landscape, and they're walking through a landscape that's physical in that moment, but it's stretching way into the future, and they're feeling that through these sounds coming back to them. and it's changing how they move. So when you come and visit us, in a way, the first thing you sense is that oddness. What you thought was just sound or music is in fact this strange meeting of forces and people that they're negotiating.
We were lucky enough to get a grant from the Apps Factory who helped us build the application for iOS and Android. This app is actually the second version of this specific investigation into hearing deep time, into sensing deep time. The first version was on this micro PC, which despite its name was kind of big and clunky, and it had a separate GPS unit, and the whole thing lasted about 2 hours. So it was a pretty horrible experience. With smartphones becoming more pervasive, we decided this is where we need to be. You know, they're more powerful, they can give us more information than where we were. And so the Apps Factory at Communitech in Kitchener actually gave us a grant and helped develop the iOS and the Android version of the application. What was interesting for them was they're used to developing more business-like application. And we're coming to them with this proposal to do an application where you don't even touch the device. You literally start it and you put the device away, and your interaction with it's very different.
And it was also like a device where we didn't quite know what we wanted. We were like, it's something, you know, how do you sense something that doesn't exist but does exist? So we were asking these people to speculate with us about all of these conceptual problems and to turn them into something coherent.
We really worked tirelessly to kind of address every issue and every question that we would come to them with, and these might be questions that they're not used to hearing. So far, within the first day, we had over 150 downloads from like 50 countries, and so right away, we were seeing someone driving around a lake in Switzerland, our friend walking in China, all these different people that we have no idea how they even have found MATR and started using it, and started giving us data to kind of help with our research.
When we started with CAFKA, this is really what we wanted to propose. It's not like a site-specific piece of art that just had one life, but a work that couldn't have existed without CAFKA on a global scale, and how the outreach of art could work that way today, and that it would be instantly everywhere, would be sort of coming back to this research hub where we could speculate with people, change it, and it could go back out into the world.